Okay, welcome everyone. Okay, so here we're going to go through a little strength routine, putting everything together what we've learnt over the last few days. And here we've got a nice little workout which is just going to compilate everything we've just gone through and allow you to have a little strength workout with the body weight only. Okay, so it's really good that you just do a little bit of a mobility or warm up before doing these exercises, because we are working through some of the ranges of motion and some of the strength elements. So a little bit of a warm up, a couple of the mobility exercises would be great before commencing these exercises. I'm going to go through each group with you, and then you pause, and then you're going to do as many rounds as you want to, but I'd recommend that you do each exercise or each pair of exercises at least twice before moving on. I've paired the exercises together, so we're creating a superset. Superset means that we've got one exercise and then it's going straight into another exercise before you have a recovery, and then you're going to repeat that pair before moving on. Okay, depending on how much time you've got, you can repeat that pair 3-4 times. Okay, but I would recommend at least twice to get a good benefit from doing this workout, and then the second time you can do it, maybe you could add another round to each of them. Okay, so have some fun with it. Make sure that we're going through, we're going to be doing around about 6 to 10 repetitions on each exercise. Now I use that 6 to 10 repetitions because we want to be looking at technical failure rather than complete burnout, and that means that you can't do the exercise anymore in good technique. So if you start wobbling too much or it starts to fatigue, then just stop there, and it doesn't matter how many reps you actually get out, and then we can start to increase the load by adding more repetitions to it. So don't worry about that to begin with. Okay, so let's get going. Our first exercise is going into this ATG lunge. Okay, so what we mean by this one is that we're going to be going for a lunge position, but instead of our static normal straight lunge, we're going to be practicing this range of motion where we're driving the knee over the end of the toe, keeping the back leg straight. This works the strength down through the hip flexor and increases the mobility through the quad, but also allows us to really start to gain strength and stability through the knees all the way up and into the ankles as well, so a little bit of balance. So you're going to start off into the split squat position. Okay, and then what you're going to do is when we're going forward, we're going to lunge down, but we're going to carry on going forward. Okay, and ideally we want to be getting down into a position where you can lift the back heel off a little bit, but that back leg is straight. We keep the torso up straight, and then we move back up. Okay, so I want you to drop down as far as you possibly can and then come back up again. Okay, so to begin with, you might just be going down to about 90 degrees and then driving back up. Okay, if your knee is really hurting, then we can go for a static lunge where we're just going straight down, straight up. You won't be getting the same benefits as driving the knee forward, but you may need to start off with that exercise so you can gain a little bit of strength and a little bit of confidence before we start to drive that knee forward. Okay, the other way to increase or decrease the resistance slightly with that first exercise is to elevate the foot, the front foot up. So bear with me 2 seconds. What we can do is use something, okay, to lift the front foot up into the air. Okay, once it's up, the higher it is, the easier the exercise is, and we can start to go into that position here and then come back up out of it. So you can use this on a stair, for example, or a bench, or anything where it lifts the foot up and we can put a little bit of weight through it. Okay, and then come back up, and that's a great way to begin with before moving the foot flat down on the floor. So you're going to do 6 to 10 repetitions on each side of those. Okay, so I'll show you again just quickly on this side. We're going to drive forward, okay, and then come back up. And we can see that I'm trying to drive my knee over the end of the toe whilst keeping that back leg straight and then pushing up through it. Fantastic exercise. Once you've done that one, 6 to 10 repetitions on the other side, we're going to go straight into the press up, and here we're going to be trying to do the Spiderman press up. So what we're going to do is we're going to be in a press up position, okay, and then we're going to make sure that our hands are maybe just wider than shoulder width apart. Okay, and then as the first variation, what we're going to do is going to bring the foot up to the side as you drop down into the press, and then we're going to move back up and go through. Okay, and we're trying to signify that. Okay, now you can put the foot right up and down on the ground, and this offloads the press up tremendously. Okay, if you are struggling with press ups, then we can drop down into the 3/4 press and just do a couple of press ups that way, or driving the knee up to the side, still onto those knees, making it a little bit easier. If you're finding those press ups easy, okay, and we need to work that, and you can get more than 10 repetitions out of a standard press up, then I'll go for this variation of the Spiderman. So we're going to be in that position, and we're going to drive the knee out to the side and then drive back up. Knee out to the side and drive back up. Okay, so I'm keeping my foot off the ground constantly and keeping the core really tight and strong to be able to go down into that movement style of a press up, which just increases the resistors. Fantastic way of working the press up, but getting a bit of dynamic movement and the hip flexor and the core engaged at the same time, which makes it much more functional and more beneficial for our needs. So that's your first superset or your first group. So you'd practice, now you pause the video, go away and just practice those 2 exercises at least 2 rounds before coming back to me, and then once you come back we can just go through the next group of exercises with you. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so hopefully you've done those exercises, and we're going to go into the next set now. Here we're going to go for the RDL, which works our balance, our motor control and our hamstrings, and then we're going to be working Angels and Devils, which is really good for our postural correction, working the back of the shoulders, a little bit of lower back strength as well here. Okay, so first exercise is going to be the 3-way RDL. So first one, we're going to stand on one leg, okay, and what we're going to do is we're just going to bow forwards. Okay, so I'm keeping that leg nice and straight, and I'm keeping my back nice and flat as well. So I'll just face this way. So I'm keeping my back nice and straight, and then coming down and then moving back up into a straight position. What we're going to do for the 3-way is we're going to come down and we're going to move the arms slightly to the side and then move back up, and then we're going to go straight down into the middle and move back up, and then over to the other side and then back up. And this is a fantastic way of working that strength. Okay, so I'd recommend that you do probably about 9 reps so you can get each movement in 3 times. Okay, into that position. Okay, and then you go for another round where you go out to the side and come back. Really good for testing your balance and motor control for this particular exercise, at the same time as the strength through that hamstring. Pushing the hips backwards and coming forwards is a really good fundamental exercise to help us with that functional movement forward, which we need for the running, and then also that motor control stuff, which really helps us keeping in line and decreases it decreases our risk of injury, but at the same time our performance levels increase as well. Okay, so you'd go straight onto the other leg. Okay, we'll go down to the side, come back up, into the middle, come back up, and then out to the other side and come back up. Quite an advanced movement, that one, so just take your time with it and move through that action, really trying to feel that hamstring activated and the glutes activated there as well. Then you're going to come down and we're just going to go straight into the Angels and Devils. Here what we're going to do is getting into a position, okay, where the glutes are tight. Okay, so you want to squeeze the glutes, lift the legs slightly off the floor if you can, and then we're going to stretch the arms out in front of you, and then the arms come back, and you're going to squeeze the palms facing up towards the sky, and then come back forward again, and then back and squeeze, and then back forward again, back and squeeze and come back forward. Okay, so really good for working the back of the shoulders, because all the way through that motion you have to try and pull the shoulder blades together whilst we're going through that muscle, that pattern with the arms swinging. Okay, we've got that twist as well, which means that we're working through the rear deltoid quite nicely. At the same time, we're gaining good strength down through the activation of our glutes, with good strength down through that lower back area, which is so important for that core strength element to everything as well. Okay, so practice those 2 exercises for me. Take your time with the balance first one, the RDL 3-way. Okay, take your time with that one, and then go into that Angels and Devils lone prone position, lying flat on your floor and working through that. Fantastic. Okay, a couple of times round and then come back to me and we'll just go through this last set. Okay, so with this last set we're going to be working a little bit more of our shoulders, okay, with the pike press, and then we're going to be working into our legs for the final exercise. So here we're going to go into the pike press. So here what we're going to do is we're going to be in a press up position, and then we're just going to push backwards, okay, into almost like a downward dog. You don't have to push the heels down into the ground to get the calf stretch, okay, so we can keep a little bit out of that one, okay, and then what we're going to do is going to bend the elbows so the head comes to the floor and push back up. And we can vary the resistance of this one, okay, depending on the angle. So that one was a relatively gentle angle, which is gentle on the shoulders, and we can push through. Bend as much as you can to get into a deep range of motion, and then drive straight back up is really good on this one, okay. So into that position, hips up into the air, and then bend, and then push back into those hips, okay. To make it harder, edge the feet further forward, tip down, okay, and then we can drive down and then back up, which works heavily onto the shoulders. The more upright we can get to the torso, we'll really start to work those shoulders even harder, okay. And then we're going to go into a little bit more of a power exercise for our legs once you've done 6 to 10 repetitions of the pike press. Here we're going to go into the lead minors. So this one, great for activating the glutes. This, a little bit of balance control, but also getting a little bit of explosion with the power here. So what we're going to do is you're going to stand on one leg. We're going to drop back into a reverse lunge, okay. Then we're going to drive the knee up, and then we're going to go into a jump at the top, okay. So we step back and then we jump up, okay. So it's just a little hop movement. You can see that I'm using my arms as well to get that right. So make sure that you drive the knee forward into that position to do the hop there, and this leg driving up will help us, and this is great for activating this muscle group here, which is the top of the hip flexors, into that quad as well, to drive forward, and that's functional. You'll feel the glute working onto that position, okay. So down and drive up, okay. Nice simple exercise, but very, very effective. 6 to 10 repetitions, and try and be nice and explosive, land nice and gently, and drive straight up with that one. Great, okay, so again, you repeat those exercises a couple of times with the pike press, and then into that lead minor, and then that's your workout done. Really condensed, but very, very effective, using everything we've learned over the last few days, collating it together into a little short workout, which then is going to represent you getting stronger and faster outside onto those trails, okay. Have fun with it. Let me know how you get on. Let me know what your struggles are. Let me know what you enjoyed, and we'll speak soon. Thank you very much. Take care.